a team that I don't use the term capitulated a lot, but the Houston Dynamo capitulated this series. In this game, described by many, and many being me, as one of the closest on paper matchups, not only in the playoffs this year, but maybe ever. It played out to be exactly like that. If you go back into the preview and you look at the way we were looking at this game, every single stat was basically dead even. Advanced stats, basic stats, they all were might as well have been the same team you were looking at. On paper, they were exactly the same. And that's exactly what this series did. They went into penalties in both games, Seattle edging out the Dynamo both times. Fry came up huge, but the biggest stories here come down from the Dynamo's two biggest center mid stars losing their minds and putting their team behind the eight ball in both matches. Funny enough, both incidents happened at the exact same time in the match, 66 minutes. In game one, the original play started in the 61st minute when a strong foul by João Paulo led to a very easy yellow card from the referee. Like, super easy. Nobody argued with it. But off the ball, a massive scrum broke out with 4 to 5 players from each team getting into it. Ref kind of breaks it up. They move everybody on, and then VAR suggests a review. And as it is seen, after some time, there is, according to the referee, Ted Uncle, an act of violent conduct that was portrayed by Coco Carrasquilla. When they show the review again, Albert Rusnak came in to break up the scrum, and Carrasquilla kicks out at him. Depending on the angle you look at, it could have been where he kind of got pushed and then he fell back and his leg came up. But really, at the end of the day, it was as easy as you'd like for the way that this league is calling off the ball reds. Houston's game plan not only changed for the rest of the match, but also for their next game without their star midfielder. In that game, another incident takes place with their other star center mid, Hector Herrera, because in the 66th minute of that game, he cleans out Obed Vargas. I mean, like, easy yellow, no disagreements from anybody except Hector Herrera. He walks past the referee as he's writing in his notebook and intentionally spits at the referee's feet and jogs away. VAR reviews, and it's very, very quickly discovered that this was deliberate and he was sent off. My question for you, my cone man friend, how, in the most important 2 games of your season, do both of your star center mids get sent off for these stupid and senseless acts?
I don't even know how to explain that. Like, that's just like for it to happen once is bad enough, and then for it to happen again, especially when, like you said, this series was so tight. Like, it was insane. Like, I mean, it shows obviously in the final scoreline. Both games finished tied and went to penalties. Where even in penalties, it was only 1 penalty difference both times. So, I mean, if you're going to be in that tight of a series, which I'm sure they knew going in, because even you could tell, they needed to be more
Whoa, even
disciplined.
I could tell. Damn,
Even you
that's
could
brutal.
tell.
That's brutal.
They needed to be more disciplined. Like, I understand that you can, like, get upset and get angry, but you got to be smarter about it in this type of game. And they were definitely not. And I don't think the blame is on anybody except the ones getting the red cards. Like, I don't think you can really blame the ref. I mean, I'm sure there's people who do blame the ref. I don't think you could blame Ben Olsen. Like, that's on you. You're an adult. You understand the situation. You cannot be doing that. And I mean, you could see it in the final scores. It cost them 100% because I think full healthy, or sorry, full strength Houston has a much better shot at getting out of this series.
100%, right? This is the worst way for Houston to go out. You were, like you said, you're so evenly matched with them. You're playing a really nice brand of Benny ball, right? You looked like a decent, solid team. You had a solid roster build, give or take certain areas. You gave yourself a great chance of advancing in this round, and then both of your star designated players, center mids, lose their mind at the worst possible time. And while I'm sure it impacted the shooting lineup, sure, right? It changed the entire game plan of both second halves, right? You couldn't go for it. You couldn't go press and try and win the game. You had to be more defensively sound. It took away from your team's ability to play your style of football. And listen, I'm not a Houston supporter, but if I was, I would be livid. You get paid millions of dollars a year just to do that in the biggest games of the year. I don't use this name a lot because it's been preferentially banned on this podcast, but that is Rafa Marquez level of ridiculous. Just showing up, not giving a damn about what's happening anywhere else, and getting yourself sent off in the biggest games of your team season. Ridiculous. We know that Hector Herrera is gone officially. They made that announcement about 4 minutes after the game. And it would not shock me if Coco Carrasquilla also is on his way out. He's had tons of people looking for his signature. Houston may have a really new look next year, and that might not be the worst thing because this is ridiculous. They said it didn't have an impact on the HH decision, the spitting at the referee, but I think they're lying about that. And if they're not, it absolutely should have. If you are a top three paid player in your team, holding the captain's armband in the biggest game of the season, and you can't control yourself to not spit at the match official after he makes a correct decision, you don't have a spot on my team. Sorry. Like that's non-negotiable.
I mean, we talked about Houston in our standings review. It's not like they don't have a good foundation. Their foundation is in their defense. They were fantastic defensively, and Carrasquilla definitely, I would say, plays a factor in that. But I would not say Herrera does. So to move on from him when your defense was so strong and your attack was disappointing, I definitely don't think that's the wrong move. I mean, I think that's the right way to go, and you can now have a chance to reset and bring in people who can add to your attack. Because if you can keep that defense consistently as strong as it was this year, Houston's legit. Like 100%, I think Houston's legit. And even if you did lose Carrasquilla, right, you still have Artur in the midfield, who is fantastic. So there's pieces in place already. So it's not like Houston needs to blow it all up if they lose Herrera and Carrasquilla. Like there's great groundwork still in place. So I think it's really disappointing in this playoff series, but Houston can rebound and still come back just as strong next year, if not stronger.
I don't think they're going to lose these two and then be bottom of the West for the next 4 years. I think there's definitely a basis there to build off of, but they need to be smart in the window. They've got to be smart in the
Yeah.
window.
Yep. 100%.